brought to you by our stable of sponsors.
Bring it on, they're off. Tiptronic in front from Vernon Me to Illicit, getting out late Tiptronic, and Ashvin going to Sami, gets his Group 1. Bellon Rouge in front, she's too good. Bellon Rouge too strong. On the bubbles, Paddy Nui baying out wide, Marshad on the bubbles, back in the winning groove.
This thing we started, I don't want it to stop. You know you make me shiver. Baby, you burn so hot, you make me shiver with a fire. You got this thing we started.
We were back at Ellerslie for racing yesterday, and wasn't it a wonderful day? It certainly did deliver with high quality racing and Group 1 action as well in the form of the Zabeel Classic. And Michael, a very warm welcome into weigh-in and Merry Christmas to you, and thought it was a real sense of excitement to be back at headquarters for a big day of racing.
It was, Em. Merry Christmas to you too, and to everybody watching at home. I hope you enjoyed it with the family. Christmas for us, I think racing people felt like Boxing Day was the bigger day. It was massive to be back on track at Ellerslie. We didn't have the crowd we would have liked, but you could feel it in the jockeys' room and from the trainers and limited owners who were there, Emily, that people were thrilled to be back there. And you sort of forget what a beautiful place it is as a race course. You drive on to the track and you're like, wow, this is so good. And we've taken it for granted in the past. I won't take it for granted this summer. Wonderful racing. It was such an unusual day because there were so many cool performances, Emily, but when I left the track, the one person who was still getting back slaps and handshakes and everybody was talking about was the young man we're going to hear from very shortly, because he joined the Group 1 club and he was pretty darn excited about it.
And so he should be. Awesome stuff. And let's relive that Group 1 winning moment. Let's have a look at the Zabeel Classic and Tiptronic.
Tiptronic looking to turn up the wick here. Leads by a length and a half from Vernon Me. Then came Chevelle Promoteur Demonetisation. Sound is next as they swing in, followed by Two Illicit. Out wide a Prise de Fur. Further back in the field into Harlech and Concert Hall. Down to the 300 they come. They've still got to get to Tiptronic. Leads by 2 now. Coming after them, Prise de Fur. Two Illicit hemmed up in between them. Vernon Me's battling on with Chevelle de Fur. It's still over on the inside. Tiptronic in front from Vernon Me. Two Illicit getting out late Tiptronic, and Ashvin going to Sami, gets his Group 1 at the line. Tiptronic beat Vernon Me and an absolutely delight.
We made a Group 1. How did that feel?
Very happy, so special. Like, always dreamed to be a Group 1 jockey. Like, since I started getting into races and always wanted to get on the good horse in the Group 1 race, you know, and I've been doing my best lately. I've been getting lots of chances with lots of owners and trainers to ride big races, and so thankful for the owner to keep me on Tiptronic after I rode him in the Captain Cook's a couple of weeks ago. I ran third, I had no room, and like I was looking forward to ride him in the Zabeel because like I knew he will go over ground and he'll be hard to beat.
You rode him beautifully in front, you rated him nicely in front. Did you feel like you were getting away with the right sort of sectionals?
Yes, I did, because like I got told, like just at the back, just give him a good race, and like this is what I did. But he took a bit to come back with me because I had to drive him out a little bit out of the gates, come back nice to me, and then like at the 600, I got told to start rolling because you won't sprint, you're just gonna keep rolling, and then I just couldn't hear anyone coming. And even the straight, I would just keep looking. I was like, there's no one, he's gonna go, he's gonna make it. So he just kept on giving.
A couple of years ago, you had a pretty nasty smash at Te Rapa. You were out of the saddle for a long time. Did you ever get concerned during that period that, you know, the injury or for other reasons you may not make it back?
No, after I had that fall, like I couldn't even feel my leg and my knee was really sore, so I must have broke my leg or my knee, but after that I was fine. So when I was having a time off, like I was watching races, I was just keen to get back into it, you know, like because I just miss them, you know, I just love racing.
For those people who don't know your story, where are you originally from, Ashwin, and how did you end up being a jockey in New Zealand?
I'm from Mauritius, a little island in the middle of Indian Ocean. So we only have one racetrack there, and like all the people there love racing. So my dad used to work at a stable, and then during school holidays I used to go and help him. And then I just started like getting used with horses. I used to be scared of horses, so my dad bring me there just to get used with it. And then I just brushed them, and then like one day I started riding a couple like in the stable. And then I left school at 14 years old, and then I just worked with horses. And then I was trying to get a job here, and then Mr. Manning, like, got me here. He helped me out with my visa and everything. So he's been helping me from day one since I've been here. So it was very good help from him. And
Okay, so I take it you'll be on the phone tonight, back to Mauritius, to tell everybody that you're now a Group 1 winning jockey?
yeah, because it's one of the best Christmas present ever, you know, because I always wanted to ride this race. And I remember 2 years ago when I was here, James McDonald won that race on True Enough, and I was casting my hand. I was like, I always wanted to ride that race. And last year I didn't ride it because I didn't have any nice horse, but today I got a very good horse, and I was pretty confident during the week that I'm going to win it. So
Good on you, brother.
thank you.
Well, that had to be incredibly satisfying, Richo, for the old horse to get another Group 1.
Yeah, it was a thrill. You know, it's hard to compare the two. I was just saying on TV before, the only difference is the crowds aren't here today. There was a few, and I was just pleased to see some of the owners make it. So it was a big thrill for me and for the staff and Rogan as well, obviously, my co-trainer. And look, the horse, he's just a war horse, and he just tries every time. And Ashvin did what he was told, and I said he's a one-paced horse with plenty of speed, you know, and I said take off at the 600, and he did.
He's a funny horse because he doesn't seem to like spring, but he gets to December and he changes. He gets to Christmas and he's a totally different horse.
He's funny. He's like a mare, isn't he? There's a lot of mares like that, but he's just the same every year. I've tried him early, but he just doesn't do well, and he just whacks away, and then he just comes right after Christmas Day every time.
Is it in his physical appearance? Does his coat not get away in the spring, or does he not eat as well? What could you possibly put it down to?
I can't, he's just one of these horses that just thrives in the summer, I think.
He must be a wonderful horse to have around the place. I mean, he's 8 years old. He's racing on a firm track today. He'll probably be back here for Carat Cup night, and he'll probably be back for the Herbie Dyke. They're magical, those horses, Richo, who just keep turning up and wanting to be there.
Geez, I'd definitely come back to Carat Cup if he had 57 kilos on his back, you know.
In that case, you won't be coming.
No, I don't. He might get 59 or 60. But.
The Herbie Dyke could be a nice race, ideal for a horse like him who can race handy on the speed to go back to.
Look, he loves Te Rapa as well. It's a shame he loves Te Rapa and Ellerslie, isn't it? But he's had 3 starts. He's had a first and second and a miss. He ran 6, which was a big run that day in the Herbie Dyke. So he's just a good horse.
Wonderful day, really. Your 2 stable stars getting the job done on the return to Ellerslie.
Yeah, it's a big thrill. It's a big thrill for me and Rogan and the staff. They put in a lot of hours, and it's not easy. And we've only got a small team of 30 now, so we had nearly a third of the horses running today.
Awesome stuff, isn't it? A wonderful story, and great to hear from Ashvin Goindasamy and, of course, Graham Richardson and the team as well. And Michael, a real feel-good story, led from start to finish, and the celebrations over the line from Ashvin Goindasamy, I think, summed it up perfectly.
And they continued in the jockeys' room. I actually wandered into the jockeys' room not long after Ashvin went back inside, and the boys were thrilled for him. I'm not saying the girls weren't, but they were in a different room. And there was a lot of high fives and slaps on the back, and you could tell people loved it. He's a very popular guy, Ashvin, very smiley, happy guy. Wonderful to get his story. I knew he was Mauritian, but I didn't know how he got here and that he was scared of horses when he was young. So it's wonderful stuff. He's one part of the story. Obviously, Richo and Rogan are another part. Only got 30 horses in work, and they won two decent races yesterday, including a Group 1. But what a wonderful horse he must be, Tiptronic. Like, he's 8 years old, and obviously he doesn't like spring, so he's raced and won a Herbie Dyke now, which is a very serious race, and this race. I think Richo might be a little bit optimistic, thinking he's going to get 57.5 for the Carat Cup because he won it last year carrying 62.5. So he'll be carrying a lot more than that, but that's where he'll head then, probably the Herbie Dyke. It's a story with so many other angles to it. O'Reilly, the late O'Reilly, side the Quinella in the race with Vernon Me second. The tempo was farcical. It was 2:05.1, so they've gone 3.2 seconds slower than Concert Hall did winning this race last year. And that's why any horse in behind is forgivable. Interesting part of the race here, that's Tiptronic punching up through the middle, obviously, and as Ashvin said, he came back to him really well. There's Vinnie Colgan 3 wide, and he slides in here to 1 off. Now, Vinnie gets 11 days for that. Look, it was tight. I thought it was great riding. I'm stunned that he got 11 days for that, to be honest. I know he also got some for the whip, so I don't know exactly how they divided those time up, but I watched that 4 or 5 times this morning, And maybe we can show it to you again, because I'm really interested in how this works. He's in the Trelawney colours, the green and the red, and he gets off 3 wide and he drops back at the winning post. You're looking for the horse next to Tiptronic. Tiptronic is in the middle, next to it is To Illicit. To Illicit follows Tiptronic across, Tiptronic goes forward. So Vinny is 3 wide, and obviously we don't see the steward's vision. 3 wide here, seems to be a gap, slides into that gap there to be 1 off. Now that's tight, but I know it caused a reaction behind him. But gee, I thought that was tough, copping a suspension for that.
I think implications in a Group 1 are a lot more serious as well. I think from a steward's perspective as well. Just that tightening, isn't it, on the bend, I suppose. Got to set a precedence.
Yep, and the stewards did say the penalty was larger because it was a Group 1. Other things out of the race, Concert Hall, she stormed home and willing to forgive any horse back in the field, Emily. Obviously, they've come home with 34.2 after going around in 2.5. So she could well back up Concert Hall in the City of Auckland Cup. So the City of Auckland Cup is obviously on Saturday, New Year's Day. She's in the Herbie Dyke. Here's the Herbie Dyke market, but we're not sure who's going to head there. Tiptronic will for sure. You would think Concert Hall probably would. And then all the other horses are behind. To Illicit, not making decisions with yet. Royal Performer was really good. So all those horses will be forgives for their next start. Here's that City of Auckland Cup. Roger James saying this morning, Concert Hall, a good chance to back up. And she's $10. Now, she does have 57.5 in the City of Auckland Cup, and cheaper than Divorce, her stablemate, has 53. So she is going to need to give her 4.5 kilos, but you would think if she lines up, she won't be paying $10. And the one other factor out of the race, Emily, sadly, Communique had to be euthanised. She broke down a hind leg, it looked like, in the home straight. Terribly sad for the Hickman team and for the stable. So to Chris and to Steve, we know it's a really tough thing to go through. It was the only silver lining to the cloud of not having a crowd there yesterday, was that less people had to see that. But very sad for them. So yeah, our commiserations to them.
Yeah, exactly right. Let's have a move on and look at the 8 Carat Classic, and the ever-consistent Ballon Rouge was successful in this one.
To go, and the leader is Lady Cavell, tackled by Ballon Rouge. Carmen Line made the bend bit awkwardly, but looking to run on down the outside, and running on also the High Priestess, and behind them Flash Mary. Ballon Rouge in front at the 150, got away by 2 lengths here from the High Priestess, Princess Lowry, Flash Mary, and then Mustang Valley, but she's too good. Ballon Rouge too strong. Second, the High Priestess.
Well, she's turning into a really good filly who knows how to win.
Yeah, tough and honest and genuine, and you know, she's done a bit of racing and a bit of travelling in the last couple of months, down to Riccarton, back up to Palmy, up to here. So just sort of thought earlier in the week, I thought, oh, she might be starting to put the white flag up on us a bit, but we changed a couple of things around, and really happy with her towards the race latter part of this week. So looks a lovely ride from Opie. They walked him and he was up in the right spot and took bad luck out of the equation. So she's going really well.
What happens now, because a lot of the good fillies races from now on are 2,000 metres or further, does maybe she stay at the mile and take on the boys, or does she go up to the 2,000?
I think we'll give her a crack at 2,000. We'll probably give her a little bit of time between races now, and she'll go to Te Rapa for the boss's race, 2,000 metres there. Burgundies aren't renowned for being staying sorts of horses, but then you look at Dummy's horse that won the Cup, he's by Burgundy out of a more than ready mare. So it is possible, and she's class and genuine. So we'll give her a chance anyway until she says that she doesn't want to.
Do any of the other 3-year-old fillies turn up here for the 2,000 metre race or 2,100 metre race on New Year's Day?
Yeah, we're going to have 3 in there. We're going to have Outfit, who won well at Te Rapa, Self Obsession, who won well at Tauranga, and the filly that ran second behind Self Obsession is a filly called Trieste, and she'll run here as well. So we'll have 3 for the Royal Stakes.
Good stuff and good insight there from Jamie Richards, and you've got to love what Ballon Rouge has been able to do. That obviously 1,000 guineas form, and then to have travelled up and obviously taken out the eulogy, and then to back that up the performance at Ellerslie. I know, talking to Opie after the race, he said she's just so unassuming. She's just she's one of those horses you walk past, you don't notice. She just does a job, turns up, and really saves it for race day. And she's putting together a really nice record.
Well, and she's putting together a record that might get her the filly of the year, the New Zealand Bloodstock filly of the year, in, because I don't really think she's probably a natural 2,000 horse, but lots of horses who aren't get 2,000. And if she can sneak some more points somewhere, she's not coming to the Royal this Saturday. As Jamie said, they have 3 others for that. But if she can get some more points, she's in front now. So that gives her a chance of eking her way to the title, even if she's not an Oaks filly. We don't know that, but I guess we'll find out together. I don't think it was a super strong race. I think she won really well. 2 maidens ran second and third, and they actually did a super job. The High Priestess for Don Walker was really good in second, bred to be a good horse out of Postman's Daughter. And for Team Rogie, Princess Lowry ran third. So whenever 2 maidens who both has second starts run seconds and thirds in those races, maybe you doubt the form a little bit, but maybe they're pretty nice horses of their own heading forward. I think the Royal Stakes will be stronger on Saturday. And then the question mark is how long Ballon Rouge can hold together that form. But maybe a race like Tarapa for the Alice Classic might be her type of race, because sometimes it's not as testing over the 2000. So that might be where they get their chance.
And with a bit of time, as Jamie was saying, time between runs, she can have a little freshen up, and she obviously enjoys being in the stable.
Well, she's obviously a pro. She obviously likes it. I'm really interested to hear Jamie's comments there about her just getting a bit tired. And you're telling me she was in the paddock and they brought her back into the stable and she liked it. So maybe she enjoys being around other horses, I don't know. But she doesn't seem to enjoy being around them in the winner's circle. Poor old Burgundy. I feel sorry for poor old Burgundy. He probably wasn't given that much love as a stallion when he was alive, as in regard to being that commercially popular. And he's leaving better horses now, sadly, since he's passed on.
A New Zealand Cup winner as well, this Monderani, who wouldn't have thought they would have got over 3,200 metres, but maybe that's a good indication for Ballon Rouge heading towards an Oaks.
Well, a horse like her now, you start to wonder, what do you do if you win Filly of the Year? Because everybody has the same question, as you know, with those fillies. Do we eventually go to Australia? Do we go to Sydney? Do we go to Queensland? Do we go to Adelaide? Because everybody you talk to these days who's in that mode of breeding horses is, where do we get the best black type we can get? So Filly of the Year might help balance that out for her, but it's going to be an interesting Filly of the Year challenge, because I think there's a lot more 2,000 metre fillies we haven't seen yesterday who will be turning up for the back half of the Filly of the Year.
Yeah, there's a lot of depth, isn't there, in those 3-year-old fillies ranks. So now an Uncle Remus Stakes comes next, and On the Bubbles bounced back into the winner's enclosure with an impressive show.
Last as they turn and head for home then is Marchand. Down to the 300 metres they come. The big gun's about to fire up now. Sophisticata out wide. Coming with it then is battling over on the inside of it is Parianui Bay. On the Bubbles still there as well. On the Bubbles still in front here. Parianui Bay being called upon. On the Bubbles, Parianui Bay, and out wide Marchand. On the Bubbles back in the winning groove. On the Bubbles beat Parianui.
Well, it's satisfying, David, when they come back from any sort of throat operation, because you never know, do you?
Yeah, it's always great to see a Karaka Million winner come back up and perform like that as a 3-year-old. And he's coming up super, and he's going to be hard to beat in Karaka Million night, isn't he?
Just to officially, you're right, but just officially get the Novia situation out of the way. Novia has officially been retired, David, is that correct?
Yes, he has been retired, and he's been bought by Waikato Stud, and he'll stand next season at Waikato Stud.
Terrible shame to lose him, but you've got a wonderful replacement who is now the favourite for the 3-year-old Karaka Classic Mile. Do you think he's a miler on the Bubbles? Like, he handled 1,400 at 2, so you would think he'll get the extra 200 metres.
Yeah, I have no doubt that he'll get a mile, and he'll probably even get 2,000 metres if that's the sort of race we needed him to win. But he'll definitely get a mile for certain. Any 2-year-old that can get 1,400 on a soft track at Awapuni, they'll always get a mile as a 3-year-old.
The sales have gone back this year, David, the sales at Karaka, obviously back to March. Has that changed the timetable for your inspection of yearlings and the way you're going about things this year?
Yeah, well, when I was looking at the ready-to-run horses, I saw quite a few yearlings at that time, and I thought this is a vintage year of vintage crop of yearlings, absolute top quality. So I can't wait to start looking at them in early February, and it's going to be very exciting to see how that period, how the sale in March works. I think it'll be very successful, and certainly gives me the first January at the beach ever.
On the Bubbles, they're successful in the Uncle Remus Stakes, and Michael, I thought great progression from that fresh run, obviously having had a long time between runs, and I'd imagine there's even more progression to come from On the Bubbles. And he was such a standout 2-year-old, wasn't he, with what he was able to do, and it's great to see him back in winning form again.
And he was a little bit heavy yesterday, so you would think he is going to improve for the Karaka Classic Mile. I'm actually surprised how long he is. Well, look at the market for that now. I thought he'd be $1.90. Because of the Jamie OP factor, he's $2.80, and I think it's incredibly backable. When you think Carmen Line is $8 as third favourite, well, she finished last yesterday. Now, I'm not saying she's not any good, but she's not going to be beating on the bubbles in this race, you would think. You go through that bunch of horses. Tutakaka is the aiming for a derby. Very hard to find a horse in here to beat on the bubbles. Now, Scribe did beat him at Te Rapa, but as you said, the progression was obvious. I think he'll start odds on. And the tip for the show today is on the bubbles at 2.8 is great money. The throat operation doesn't seem to have bothered him so far.
And I heard from Julia Rose was interviewed after the race on trackside, and I think So You Think had a similar operation, didn't hold him back. So maybe that's the case with On the Bubbles.
Well, as you know, when they have that throat operation, you're worried about them the first start because that's when they first get under pressure. But he's handled 2 starts in a row now. And, yeah, I can't see how he starts anything but odds on in that race for $1 million. Obviously, he won the 2-year-old version last year. Second was Paranui Bay. Obviously, he's not eligible for that. So, therefore, that's one thing he doesn't need to worry about. I thought he was really good. Looks like he probably, not only a miler, I think maybe he's a 2,000-metre horse.
The way he found the line, he was just eating up the ground late, wasn't he?
Yep, he was great. And Ma Chan was excellent in third. Only her 5th start. Gets black type, which is important. Obviously, she's owned by Cambridge Start and the Lindsays. Lost a plate during the race. So she's done a super job and she's hit the line really hard. But when you're looking at that vision, you're taking both those horses out of play. They aren't in the Carat Classic mile picture. And obviously we heard from David there that Novia is now officially retired and off to Waikato Stud. So all of a sudden you've got this picture where outside of Scribe, I just can't pick a horse to beat him. So yeah, 2.8 is a late Christmas present if you want to jump on that.
Lock it in, 2.8. Let's take it. It won't be 2.8 for long with Michael around, will it? Let's move on to the Stella Artois Championship here on Weigh-In. And we've still got the one stakes race to come, but here's a look at Banker's Choice in the meantime for the championship final.
Campionessa looking to run on. Further out, Son of a Butcher. Where's his favourite? Back and behind them, Banker's Choice starting to bob and weave its way through. Down to the 200 metres. They're lining up here. Here's Banker's Choice out of the pack. Coming with it also along the inside now, north of Havana, and still there as well as Carolina Reaper, but Banker's Choice got his nose in front. The favourite's gone back to back, and that's a big win from last. Banker's Choice has beaten Carolina.
Well, Stephen, he might be a pretty good horse.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, his last 2 runs before going out for a spell last prep were amazing. This time in, he had the 1 run to get ready. Last start at Te Rapa, his sectionals were awesome, and today I'd say his sectionals he's just as good. He's pretty high class, I reckon.
He's come back into the parade area after the race and he's just running around in circles and off his nut, so clearly he loves it.
Oh, he's so tough. Like, he'll be like that tomorrow morning too. He'll go home tonight, eat up, and not even worry about it. So, look, I'll give a bit of consideration to bringing him back for possibly the Richhill Mile. I'll just see what we think, but he's pretty classy, and his win today was very good.
You started the day leading the premiership. Jamie's had a big day, so he's in front of you now. Have you got the equine firepower to stay alongside him or keep up with him until, luckily for you, he goes away?
Yeah, that's going to be a big help. I offered to pay for his flights if he wanted to go in February, but look, we've got firepower. Like, I thought today a winner would be a bonus. January 1, I think we bring a good strong hand. As long as we keep within reach of them, I think we're a hell of a chance. But, they've got obviously a very exciting team, pulling out some big guns today. But hey, it keeps a bit of excitement in the place, and we're not going to kill ourselves to get there. But I think people are creating a bit of interest anyway.
Well, it is. I presume you want to win the premiership at some stage in your life.
Absolutely, I'd be I wouldn't. I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't. And look, this year looks like a good year with a decent chance of doing it.
How many horses do you have in work? Because between the South Island and the North, there seem to be Stephen Marsh horses lining up all the time.
Yeah, look, we've got a decent numbers now. We do all our own pre-training and everything ourselves. So on the books in work between Cambridge and the South Island, we've got 105 at the moment. It'd be nice to sort of get round to that, about 120 would be good. But yeah, no, we're really happy. We've got a good team of staff, and we're doing it pretty comfortably at the moment.
Are you happy with the sales going back to March so you can get through this period before you have to start looking at all the yearlings?
I think it's a really big key to us. It's so busy at the moment, not having to sort of push into the yearlings and all that as well. But yeah, I think it's a great, very great thing that I've done. It'll suit us, and this year we'll give it a real nudge and attack the sales hard.
Not only is Banker's Choice a lovely progressive type, but also a big well done to the Stephen Marsh team for the way they're going. It's been a great season so far for them, hasn't it? And as Stephen was saying, it just spices things up with a little duel between Stephen and Jamie, and I think people love that interest. They love that competition, and it makes it exciting.
Well, the market's now closed, and I'm not sure when they're going to reopen it. I think at some stage they need to find out officially, and obviously Jamie probably doesn't even know when he's going to leave the country and whether he's going to still be his name on the stationery at Te Aka or whether Mark Walker takes that over. So at some stage someone's got to clarify that, otherwise they can't reopen the market because we're not sure that if Jamie leaves in mid-April whether the wins get put next to his name for the next month. It can't go on for the rest of the season. He can't be living in Hong Kong in the middle of April and still having wins attributed to his name in July. That obviously can't work. So I don't know what they're going to do about it. And it is interesting. We'll follow it here on Weigh In for you. Great story. The owners of this horse, who bred it off Ross and Corrine Kearney, they obviously own the horse who won the first race, Jodeline Girl, who's actually a half to this horse. So what a fantastic day for them. They've had 2 wins on Boxing Day returning to Ellerslie, and this horse is pretty good. I think he's maybe a little bit early for the Rich Hill Mile for him because it's a very strong Rich Hill Mile this Saturday. It's a ripper. But he's a horse who could turn up in a decent anniversary handicap type race and be a chance. Very funny horse. He was in the parade ring afterwards. You would have seen him because you're such a horse person. And he was just off his nut. He was running around in circles and full of energy. He was very vibrant horse. So he's obviously a very energetic horse who likes to get on with the job. They've actually put the mare back. So this mare who had the 2 winners yesterday, she's gone back to Mongolian Carat to have a fall to this horse, and she's got a time test on the ground. So good on the Kearneys. They put a lot of money into the game, and that was a pretty exciting day for them.
It was. I'm pretty sure they were on track yesterday as well, so hopefully they enjoyed a glass of bubbles or 2 to celebrate what was a wonderful day. Let's get you off to a break on Weigh In. On the back of that, our stakes action review continues. Today's Weigh-In is brought to you by our stable of sponsors. You're back with us on Weigh-In, and it's now time to sink our teeth into the 2-year-old action, which of course does have implications towards the Karaka Million. Yesterday, it was Grayson Gray's turn to head into the winner's enclosure with an impressive performance.
To run on now. Homeward bound they are at the 300 metres. Grayson Gray, the leader. Now Dynastic, the favourites coming out of the stablemates coming out after it. 2 lengths back, and behind these is Chamario, then battling away also. And behind these is If I Get Paid, and further away to Timeless. But it's Grayson Gray in front. Favourite is home here. The stablemate will chase it home in second spot. That was Dynastic, third over.
Well, Jamie, 2 more into the Karaka Million, and the filly still looks like she's got a bit to learn, but lots of toe.
Yeah, she's got plenty of speed. She's an Australian bred daughter of Spirit of Boom, who have got a reputation over there. But she ran really well at Tiara, ran into I Choose You. She was good and straight and honest that day, and I think she just sort of loafed a little bit without any competition up beside her today. So when we get to the big race, 22nd of January, I think when the pressure's on, she'll find, and she'll be straight and true. But she's had a nice look round up here today and done it well.
The second horse, the Old Manzor horse, he was very good too because he had the harder run.
Yeah, he's a lovely colt. A lot of time for him. Not a natural squibby little 2-year-old. He's got plenty of size and scope and strength. So whatever he's doing at the moment is a bonus for next year. But Opie's got a big rap on him, and as long as he does everything right in the next 3-4 weeks, then he'll be back here on Karaka Million night as well.
Okay, so we're looking at 4, maybe 5 Karaka Million type horses. Do you have a ranking order in your head at the moment, with the fact, of course, that hard tracks and racing can sometimes get to the 2-year-olds? How do you see them right now?
Yeah, I think there's a number of nice horses there. I really like a filly called Taviama, who ran second to Wolverine at Te Rapa. She'll run here at Ellerslie on the 9th and go 13 days into it. Another horse that I really like who hasn't qualified yet is a horse called Time Flies. He just lacked a little bit of experience in knowing how to put them away at Pokekoa the other day, but he'll run here on the 9th as well.
Would the blinkers go on him at some stage?
Something like that, some sort of gear change. So there are a couple of nice horses. Then there's Lord Cosmos, there's Fellini, there's Grayson Gray, there's the other colt there. So a really nice team of horses, but I think the horse to beat at this stage is still Wolverine. She's got the money in the bank and she's been dominant in her 2 wins. So yeah, we've got some nice chances, but it's never easy.
No, it most definitely isn't easy, and there's a lot of decisions to be made over the coming weeks and a lot to still unfold, I feel, with regards to Te Aka's team for the Karaka Million. But we saw a couple of special ones there, and Grace and Gray making great progression, and that also franks the form, of course, of I Chose You.
Yeah, it does, and she's a real jump and run type, isn't she? Just gets up on the nickel and off she goes, and she came home in 33 seconds there for the last 600. So she's obviously a contender. I've got no idea what to make of this, to be honest. Now, Wolverine, we have an update for you on Wolverine. Galloped yesterday in between races at Awapuni. Rawdon Burgesson has kindly told us today is changing plans. Comes to the Eclipse at Ellerslie on Saturday. So the favourite is turning up this Saturday in the Eclipse. She was going to go to January 9. He's changed his plan. I think Danielle, he was suggesting, is going to ride her there. If Danielle rides her in the Karaka Million, that means Te Aka's going to need another rider for what could be a team of 5 or 6, because they've got 5 or 6 on there. Grace and Gray, Time Flies, Fellini, Taviyama, Lord Cosmos was awesome when he won, and Dynastic. So if they all turn up, they're going to need some more riders, which means your husband's got a choice to make. Has he indicated to you he's going to ride one or the other? Does he know
hasn't.
yet?
There's been no indications at all. I know he obviously really likes Dynastic from yesterday, and with the run that Dynastic had, I think he feels he's an improver based on that. But when you watch Lord Cosmos's replay, that was pretty impressive. And even Time Flies, of course, is how will he improve heading forward? So yeah,
And maybe with blinkers on for him too, I think.
yeah,
So
super interesting.
I think Jamie thought about 6 weeks ago, not that he didn't have the horsepower, but the horsepower was coming to him later. They were different types of horses than, say, last year, where On the Bubbles won the first race of the season, I think, or Call as a Zabeel the year before won the first race of the season on the way to winning the Karaka Million. So you're right, it's a very diverse picture. Eclipse this week, and then the race
I think
on...
that'll clarify things.
Yeah,
I think
January
the Eclipse will
and
really...
January the 9th
yeah.
too, I think. And to be honest, I think a lot of people will just be keen to back the one that Opie's on, because they would presume he's going to get the best ride. I presume so.
Yeah.
But Wolverine this week will be interesting. So if she comes out and wins the Eclipse, I think she's a guaranteed favourite. So looking forward to seeing her at Ellerslie. It's not an easy place to bring a juvenile for the first time.
No, it's not. It's going to be an interesting week waiting to see the 2-year-olds line up in the Eclipse Stakes next week. Well, now let's move on to the listed Hallmark stud Handicap, and this was taken out by Festivity in a tight go with Vamos Baby.
400 metres to go. Madam has the leader from Dawn Patrol. Vamos BB coming after it. Been tracked all the way by Festivity, then Familiar. Vamos BB went to the lead at the 250 from Festivity. Out wide, Oscillator looks to run on for Mega Bourbon. Still there, Madam Hass. It's Vamos BB. Festivity's a half length away, looking to hunt her down. Vamos BB and Festivity go to war as they go to the post. He's got it again. Festivity, Opie Bosson.
Well, good to see a good horse finally get some luck, Opie. It didn't look like she was having that much luck in the middle stages. She was in an awkward spot between horses.
Yeah, we got a nice enough run, but she just wanted to get her head up a fraction and just over race a fraction. But so it was a big improvement from her trial. She's a little bit lethargic in her trial and probably come down to the wet track at Rotorua. But big improvement today on top of the ground. So
She's run past a pretty decent horse in Vamos BB, so you would suggest some of those nice Group 3 sprints, or maybe even up to the better ones, won't be out of her range?
no, we've already had time for her. She's probably just off those Group 1 horses at the moment, but the way she's going, she's getting better and better.
Been a good day for you. The weight seems to be in a pretty good place. I'm sure Christmas Day wasn't too much about eating for you.
No, we had a few prawns, that was about it, but no, it was a good day in the sun, and little Max enjoyed it, his first Christmas that he can actually remember, so no, it was a good day all that.
Just talking about the weight, you're about 55 and a half. That gives you the option, I suppose, to get down to a 54 and a half for Karaka Million night if needed.
Yep, I'm running 54 and a half on New Year's Day, so...
Who's the 54 and a half there, mate?
The 2-year-old Te Aka's, and she's won a race. Can't remember her name at the moment, but she's a good filly, so I'm looking forward to that.
Have you got any thoughts about the Karaka Million just yet? Have you sort of said to Jamie, this is the one I want to be on for the Karaka Million, or has he said to you, this is the one you need to be on for the Karaka Million?
Not yet. I do like the colt I rode today. He's got a lot of improvement in him.
The old man's all horse?
Yes, he's a beautiful looking horse. Just hopefully the Karaka Million isn't coming up too soon for him, but there's a few there, so we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, he didn't give us much there, did he? He didn't give us much insight into what he's going to ride. Hopefully he can make his decision over the next couple of weeks.
Does he consult you on this?
No, I'm the last to know. You should know that by now. I get no consultation. My opinion is irrelevant.
Festivity's actually the 4th favourite now for the Railway. I'm not sure she'll be beating those other two mares, Andre Vier and Levante on the railway, but that was a strong win yesterday. She can get very racy, putting her head up in the air and mucking around a little bit. Just on Remus BB before we get to this market, she has been retired. So she bled yesterday. She has been retired to stud. She'll make a wonderful brood mare for Trelawney, but festivity in her Quinella for I Am Invincible, which I would presume is the first time that's happened in New Zealand. Andre Vier versus Levante, both carrying the same weight this week, rated 105 each, both carrying 55 kilos, I think. Do you have any preference, thoughts?
I think you've asked me this about 3 times.
I know, I'm going to keep asking you to give me an
I
answer.
think Andre Vier can race a little bit handier, but tell you, the way Levante raced last time when she sat closer, geez, that changes the whole ball game, doesn't it?
Oh, and then you've got Packing Rockstar in there who will roll forward, and it's just a wonderful race. I thought it was going to be the race of the carnival, but I'm not sure because the Rich Hill's such a good race. So shame to see Remus BB gone. Festivity's obviously doing the right thing. Third horse was really good there, so... but yeah, the big guns roll out this week. It's going to be a really fun Systema Railway on Saturday.
Yeah, most definitely is. Let's have a little look at Bonnie Lass now, who of course was successful in the rating 74 for Graham Richardson once again.
Bonnie Lass to the outside. Back and behind these is Mini Mystic, followed in by Dawn Parade. Further away then, looking to run on out wide. Here is Appellant. Down to the 250 they come. Bonnie Lass strode up on the outside from Blood Warrior. Maria Farina getting over heels and behind them starting to charge now. Bonnie Lass in front. From on the inside, Blood Warrior still there, breeze on, and Maria Farina's trying hard as well. So they go down towards the post though. It'll be Bonnie Lass. Bonnie Lass fresh up, gets it second over.
Hell of a training performance, Richard.
Well, thank you very much, Mick.
Did you expect her to be able to win at that level from that draw fresh up?
Well, we thought she could, Rogan and I, but you know, it was a tough thing to do. Older horses, 74 rating. It was a gutsy effort. First time with blinkers on, but her work had been first class. So she was pretty forward for a first up run.
I know she's heading to the El Manzor on Karaka Million night, so that's another 1,200 metre race. Do you see her getting out to the 1600s? Because, of course, she was able to place at 1,400 at Group 1 at 2.
Obviously, it's a question mark. She's, 12, 1,400 is a go, but I can see her at her own age group at least.
That being the case, because most of the good fillies races heading forward now start to get out to 2,000 metres and plus, what other targets can you have for a horse like her who's missed the first half of the season?
Well, that's right. It becomes tough. I remember Volpe Veloce was in the same boat. We got up to a mile and she was the best filly in the country up to a mile, and then Bonneville come along. So it is a question mark. There's a few races around, but it's not easy.
Have you spoken at all to Brett Cooper, who's the syndicate manager, about the potential to sneak, if not to Sydney or Melbourne, maybe to Queensland?
We haven't got that far yet, and we will sit down and work it out with Sandy Moore, and between Brent and Sandy and myself, we'll work something out. But she obviously has to keep improving all the time, but I think she can.
I believe the mum, the dam, was struggling to get in foal, so Sandy's actually sent her back to Super Easy. So all going well, there'll be a foal floating around in a couple of years' time you can get your hands on.
Well, let's hope so. And I think, and congratulations to Sandy, this may be his first winner at Ellerslie. So
this is his first winner at Ellerslie.
That's an awesome result.
And a great story, obviously, around social racing, getting involved in that winner with Bonnie Lass. And a little bit like On the Bubbles, Michael, a horse who was so good at 2. She was, of course, the only filly nominated for 2-year-old of the year. And to see her come back and do it again, wide draw, taking on the older horses, she was really tenacious and tough to be able to get up and score. And I think it's a good story all round.
Yeah, it's a hell of a wide draw. Barrier 15 against those older horses who were race fit. Good training performance from Richie and Rogan. Interesting one for her because she's probably not really a miler. So where does she go after the El Manzor Trophy, which is the 3-year-old race on Karaka Millionot, which could actually also have sort of state in it. So it could be a pretty tough race. And then after that, most of the fillies races are obviously at a longer distance. So there's not that many options for her. That's why I asked the question about would they sneak her to a Queensland, because obviously she's Group 1 placed here, being placed in the size produce. Really happy for Sandy Moore. Sandy is a person some of you may not know. Sandy is one of the people on the board at Ellerslie who helps take people when they win races into the winner's circle And he's a hell of a nice fella. Everybody loves Sandy. And he's had his first winner at Ellerslie on Boxing Day, on the return. So a lot of people really enjoyed that part of the equation. So she's a good filly, but she's missing the spring probably hurts her quite a bit, because a lot of those 1400 to 1600 metre races, which would have been perfect for her, I wouldn't be surprised if Richo rolled the dice and took on, a mare's race and some of the older mares before the end of the season.
Yeah, well, she beat older horses yesterday, didn't she? And well done to Hallmark Stud as well, of course, the sire of Bonnie Lass being super easy. Well, now as we wrap up Boxing Day at Ellerslie, we catch up with Paul Wilcox, counting down to racing from New Year's Day.
Wilco, we're back. Bit of a soft opening, but not a disaster to maybe have a bit of a dry run before New Year's Day.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, and getting Boxing Day out of the way and looking forward now to New Year's Day, and like you said, getting the cobwebs out, making sure the starting gates work and all the tills are up and running, and waiting for a bigger crowd on New Year's Day.
Just for people who are watching this and are thinking, I would have loved to have gone yesterday to Boxing Day, but New Year's Day, they can come, there's hospitality available, there's general admittance. Can people just rock up here with the kids on Saturday?
Yep, absolutely. So we're encouraging anyone that wants to come along. You don't have to pre-book. Obviously there's facilities available if you do want to do that, but no, they can turn up at the gate and get entrance. We've reduced the price as well, knowing that the Aucklanders have done it tough like we have, but our obligation is to make sure they have a good time. So we want as many people to come along on New Year's Day and enjoy themselves.
It's an unusual time with a lot of people having their first chance to get out of Auckland. Are you expecting there to be a decent crowd, considering it is Ellerslie's sort of relaunch on New Year's Day?
I'll tell you on New Year's Day, Michael, but no, look, I think there's still a fair few people based here in Auckland, and hopefully if we have a lovely day like we did on Boxing Day, then I'm pretty sure we'll get a good walk-up crowd.
Yeah, your track manager's done a good job, because it's been incredibly hot in Auckland the last couple of days, but the track looks to have enough given it.
Yeah, and the jockeys love it, right? That's the most important thing from that safety aspect, and then making sure it's a consistent service right across, and Jason and his team have done a wonderful job. So delighted that we've been shut up. Well, last time we raced here was 200 and something days ago, so for it to perform like it has on Boxing Day, very, very happy.
Let's go a further bit down the track, Wilco. Karaka Million Night is coming up very quickly. We haven't had the famous Ellerslie after party for a long time, and obviously we can't have one today. Are we going to be back into that sort of thing for those who want to pop along, if we're at level orange, or orange settings for the traffic light, by Karaka Million Night?
I'd like to think so, Michael. I think we deserve it, and there'll be a lot of people hanging out for something pretty decent, as long as people keep to the regulations that we've got at the minute, do the right thing, get the vaccinations and so forth, then absolutely, if we can have an after party, we can do a good one, so we'll give it a shot.
They most definitely can do a good one, can't they? And great info there from Paul Wilcox. Looking forward to New Year's Day racing. Don't forget the fields will be out Wednesday at 11 a.m. We're going to get you off to a break, and then we get into our undercard from Awapuni and Wingatui. Today's weigh-in is brought to you by our stable of sponsors. You're back with us on Weigh-In, and as I teased, we're going to get into Awapuni and Wingatui, the undercard from them, and we kick things off with the Manawatu Standard Summer Cup, and this one was taken out by Love for All.
Here the mitigator, Love for All, joining it over on the outside. Then Shadows Cast, Tamahine, Pep Talks out wider. Back and behind these runners, Passione runs on over on the inside. Here it is, Love for All, clear by 2. From over on the outside, Pep Talk coming. Shadows Cast with these. Cinerama's late into the clear. Love for All, Pep Talk is going to try and lunge. Oh, Love for All, Pep Talk, maybe Shadows Cast, Cinerama, wouldn't be sure back in.
Well, Love for All clung on to the win, Michael, and Pep Talk certainly made it interesting, but Love for All taking home the honours.
Pretty good horses, 11 starts for 4 wins, placed last year black type level in the Eulogy Stakes, ran second, so Bryce Newman's got a nice horse to work forward with, and obviously she has the option of the Mares races. Kate Hercock returned to riding about maybe 3 or 4 months ago, might have been 6 months ago. This will be one of her biggest wins since she came back, so that's a really good feel-good story for her too. So good, tough horse. I'll be very surprised if she doesn't turn up at Trentham for the carnival. So she's a pretty good horse. And then the other winner on the day from there was Stumpy. He took out the sprint, and this was pretty impressive. He's gone 1.8M, so 1.8.9. This is Stumpy having a spin round yesterday in the More FM at Awapuni. And look, he's got a pretty good horse's record. Lisa Allpress rode 4 for the day. This one for the old boss, Kevin Gray.
Seymour starting to thread the needle. Stumpy after Darcy Labella. Stumpy on the outside. Oh, she's hitting great neck, Lisa Allpress. And Stumpy beats Darcy Labella. And then we had third of the line.
Just seems to be in a really rich vein of form at the moment, Stumpy, Michael, and won 2 of its past 3 and stakes placed in its past 3. So, yeah, just really in that sweet spot, I think, at the moment.
Yeah, and they burnt hard early here. Came home in 33.2, so they've really hit the line hard, but their tempo was good in the middle stage. It's been a pretty decent horse, and the second horse, so look, I think may not be a bad form race heading forward. And again, for Mr. Gray, the option to probably say, look, would you roll the dice for a Telegraph? I mean, you're close enough to it. It's just down the road. So another horse, like a lot of these CD horses you expect was going to turn up at the carnival. Lisa Allpress on fire there yesterday. 4 winners, beaten narrowly in another race, so almost had a fifer.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff. And then let's get to Wingatui, where we had the listed Hazlitt Stakes, and this one was taken out by the top weight in Hasabro.
Then in Blaze, further back, Humbucker, Kaimar War, live drama, plenty to do. Ohio Showgirl, Love Squirrels, well back, Optimum, Last Summer Monsoon on the turn. Ocean Point a length, King Cougar giving cheek. Wider out, Hasabro's after them. Mimp Tulip the inside from Weka Force, live drama not there. Ocean Point, King Cougar fighting it out. Hasabro, live drama getting going late. King Cougar, here's Hasabro, the toppy. Hasabro arrives just in time for Lowry. Hasabro takes the Hazlitt to beat second King Cougar.
Well, as Justin Evans indicated, time to perfection there for Hasabro, and carried the top weight to be able to get up and do that. It was a pretty competitive race, Michael, but Hasabro, another horse who's sort of hit a good patch of form and been able to put together some nice performances.
He's won 3 of his last 5, and he's a horse who can race up to the mile, because he raced obviously in the Copeland's mile where things didn't really go well for him, but Andrew Carson's done a good job with him. Jacob Lowry rode him beautifully yesterday, so they've got 2 options. They're talking about Albert Bosma, who's in charge of the syndicate, the Go Racing Syndicates, who have had a massive start to the season. They're talking Thornton Mile or the White Robe Lodge a week later. So I'm picking they'll probably stay home rather than go to Riccarton, to Trentham, sorry. So, look, horse formerly trained by Stephen McKee. News coming out this week, actually, that Stephen's former property, Sunline Lodge, has been taken over by Derek Nolan and his partner Sophia Orting. And good young people. They're not going to be training a big team of racehorses. They're more going to be pre-training. They run some horses up for the RTRs, but that's an esteemed place for them to be going. So great to see that facility is going to be used for racehorses heading forward, because it's got so much heritage to it.
Yeah, most definitely has. I think they're in that transition period at the moment, so best of luck to Derek and Soph. Let's get you along to the BJ McLaughlin Stakes from Doomben, which was the other treat coming in from across the ditch, of course, featuring Bright Blue Sky, winner of the race, Coolangatta.
In the straight, 300 left to go. He gives Coolangatta a little squeeze, and there's a good kick there, a really good kick. She bounded away, led by 2-3 from Thelwell, then Swiss Exile, Palazzo Spirit, Bright Blue Sky not doing a lot. Coolangatta in front, he's riding her along. She's got a margin of 2. Thelwell running gamely, but Coolangatta ridden out to the line scores, beats home Thelwell, Swiss Exile, and Bright Blue Sky in 4th.
Well, for a start, Coolangatta got up at very, very short odds to be able to win a hot pot. James McDonald heading up to Doomben to ride Coolangatta. From the perspective of Bright Blue Sky, I thought it was a pretty creditable effort, really. Hit a flat spot here where you thought, oh gosh, is not going to sort of feature, and then really came home strongly and found the line. Just wonder if a little bit more ground and time is going to be her friend.
Yeah, she was slow out, and she ended up obviously way back in the field. She found the line really well. Look, you would think she's got some sort of chance if they go really hard with the Magic Millions, because maybe she'll handle it better, a hot pace than some of these, but it's hard to see her beating Coolangatta. The fact that James McDonald went to Doomben on Boxing Day is an incredibly big tip for her chances in the Magic Million. That's on January the 15th. So Bright Blue Sky will head there, I presume, but it's awfully hard to tip against the favourites, $1.80. I know it's a great carnival. It's another carnival you would love to be going to, so you could go play your polo with your horsey mates. But It's another thing, Em, that we're going to miss. It's going to be really interesting for all of the New Zealand agents and buyers and people who would usually go there, because once again they'll start relying on people like the Andrew Williamses and obviously the Guy Mulcasters to take care of that business for them, because not only can we not go there, with the announcements last week from the government, I think the chances of the Australians, or in fact even New Zealand citizens, getting here for the sales are enormously diminishing. So I think we're going to be in that situation where we'll have people on the sales ground, but they'll have to be living inside our borders, and then those agents and those trainers will become really important to that situation, Emily. So that's what we probably took from last week.
Yeah, so frustrating, isn't it? I just feel the pain for everybody. I mean, our industry is one industry, but it's just implications for everybody, isn't it, with the way things are at the moment, and nothing you can really do about it either.
No, there isn't. And look, New Zealand Bloodstock have left no stone unturned. They have tried absolutely everything to get this done. So just on the subject of allergy yesterday, obviously we have lots of races on the show. We can't show everything, but to the connections of Jodalyn Girl, which is Carl Henderson and Andrew Calder, who, by the way, had a smash. He fell off a horse yesterday, it dipped him. He had a massive bruise on his foot. I think he probably needed x-rays last night. So to them, to Whanga Wanda, to Debbie Sweeney and Sam Weatherly, and to Montana Mist, who Stephen Ralph actually tipped out on the Herald as his best bet of the day. It paid $35 to him and to Jasmine Fawcett. We don't get to show all the races, but congratulations on also getting wins on the return to Ellerslie Day.
And across the ditch, Daikwan Sweet Jr., a former New Zealand galloper, he made it 3 on the bounce in Australia. So success all around when it came to our New Zealand horses. It was a wonderful day at Ellerslie on Boxing Day, and we're counting down until New Year's Day to do it all again. From us here on Weigh In, a very good morning, and we look forward to joining you next week.